So I'm out in the wall garden this morning. I'm stood in one of our lovely cut flower beds. At last we've got some dry and sunny weather, which means the ground's dry, so we can actually get on with planting things out. Before we do that, what we need to do is put in our sweet pea supports. So we grow 6 different varieties of sweet peas every year, and we grow them along these long wigwams, 14-metre long wigwams. We've got 4 of them in the garden. And I thought I'd show you how we go about doing it. There are a couple of things that guarantee you'll have good solid wigwams that will last the whole year. So the first thing I've done is I've made my holes, I've measured out the bed, I've put 36 holes in. We put our wigwams at 75 centimetre spacing, so there's 75 centimetres between each bamboo cane. We find 8-foot bamboo canes are just about the right height, so they look proper, they give the right proportions. So we have 75 centimetres between the poles, and then the wigwam itself is 75 centimetres wide at the base. So I started off by putting my holes in, try and keep them nice and even because it makes a more solid structure. One tip is to use a metal rod to make your poles. We use a large iron rod just like this. If you can get hold of something like this, or even a very strong stick would do. And we make our holes about 18 inches deep, so it's really important to get your wigwams as deep as possible. If you just try and push them in by hand, you probably won't get them deep enough, and they're more likely to wobble and then probably fall down later in the year when they've got sweet peas on them. So I'll start off by putting all my bean poles in. So that's our bamboo in. Like I say, I've put them in nice and deep, which is going to give the structure a good solid base. Don't worry at this moment if they're not exactly straight, if they're a bit wonky, we can straighten it up as we go along. So the next thing to do is to tie them together, tie each pair of canes together. I tend to use my nose as a guideline when I do this. I make them about nose height. It's worth trying to get them all even because it'll make a stronger structure as you go along. So you can either use string, we use rubber ties for this because we find it grips better, but the most important thing when you're tying them together is to tie it as tight as you possibly can. I always know that I've done a good job. If it's making my hands ache, it means I've done a good tight knot. If it's not tight, they'll wobble around, they'll come loose and they'll fall down. By the end of September, your sweet peas will look like a mess if you don't tie these nice and tight. Right, so just bring the canes together, make sure they're a nice even height. I go twice round with this string, and that stops it slipping up or down. So put your string twice round, as tight as you can, and then just do a normal overhand knot. Put it nice and tight. There we are. And that's already pretty solid. We will put crossbeams on these, and that will really brace it up and make the whole structure solid and look nice and straight and even. Right, so that's all our canes tied together. The next thing to do is put in the cross beams. As I said before, this really pulls it all together, and you can, as you do this, you can straighten everything, firm in your uprights and get a really solid structure. So you just put them through where the canes cross over. Make sure you leave a couple of inches overhanging at the ends for when they blow around so they don't just pop out. And the same applies here as before, so we go twice round and tie as tight as you can. So really pull it down, pull them really, really tight in. There we are. this rubber string's really good because it grips on. A jute twine will work, but with the rubber string it's got that friction, so it grips on much tighter. It's called tying tube. There we are. So that's pretty solid, and I'll just use the heel of my foot to solidify the ground around the canes. There we are. And then I just work my way along. So that's it. It's a good solid structure, should stand up to the winds, and with any luck later in the year this will be covered in beautiful sweet peas that we can use to decorate the cafe, sell to our visitors and sell to local florists. You can use hazel rods or even birch rods instead of bamboo, and that gives a lovely rustic look. That's what we use for our runner beans. So that's worth thinking about as well. You could use these for anything from runner beans, climbing French beads, you could even climb gourds up them. So it's a really simple way to support your crop. Yeah.